So the next panel is a very special one. We have guests who have traveled all the way from Brazil for this panel, and Chini Mandi is really grateful for this. First of all, I would like to announce that the panel is on future of ethanol blending in India. For that we have former Minister of Mines and Energy of Brazil, Mr. Bento. I request him to come on the dais. We have someone who's bringing flex fuel vehicles into reality in India, Mr. Prashant Banerjee, Executive Director, CM, Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers. We have someone who's taking a lot of initiative from Government of India in making this ethanol blending policy work, Mr. Sangeet Singla, Director, Department of Food and Public Distribution. We have Senior Economist from ISO, Mr. Peter. And we have the Moderator, Mr. Kapil, Nema, Assistant Executive Director, Dalmia, Bharat Sugar and Industries Limited. We have a very beautiful panel here today, and all of them are the ones who are running really busy on their schedules, but thank you for coming. Over to you, Kapil, sir. Mr. Bento will be starting with his presentation after you begin. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll start with the presentation and then we'll move to the question and answers. We'll start with your presentation, then we'll move to our question and answers, which I have for you, and then we'll move to the audience and ask questions. Stage is all yours. Yes.
I think we can start our presentation. First of all, good afternoon, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure and honor to join this important meeting for strengthening collaboration for the promotion of ethanol as a transport fuel for achieving sustainable mobility. At this point, I would like to thank the organizers, the Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturer and Unica for this kind invitation. I am very satisfied that this initiative launched during my mandate as Minister of Mines and Energy in Brazil is keeping forward and achieving great outcomes. Let's see now some figures of the world's OECD and Brazilian energy matrix and the importance of the sugarcane share in our matrix and to the Brazilian environment regarding CO2 emissions. As you can see in this slide, Brazilian energy matrix has 48% of renewables, while average in the world is almost 14%, and OECD countries is 11%. Sugarcane industry is the largest source of renewable energy in Brazil and corresponds to 19% of our energy matrix. All of these using only 0.8% of Brazil's territory. Brazil is the second largest producer and consumer of biofuels. We produced 32.9 billion liters of ethanol in the last crop season, 30.4 billion liters from sugarcane, and 2.5 billion liters from corn. According to our planning, our 10-year energy expansion plan that we updated every year, we expect to achieve 47 billion liters of ethanol in 2031. Ethanol replaces 47% of petrol demand in Brazil recently in 2020. We avoided 24 million ton CO2 equivalent emissions into the atmosphere in 2021. Brazil with RenovaBio. What is RenovaBio? RenovaBio is the Brazilian National Biofuels Policy. We will avoid 670 million ton CO2 emissions from 2020 to 2030, substituting fossil fuels by biofuels. Let's talk now about some characteristics of sugarcane production in Brazil. 92% of sugarcane production comes from southeast, that is 2,500 kilometers far away from Amazon forest. RenovaBio, our biofuels national policy, excludes production areas located on rural properties where producer has suppressed natural vegetation after 2018. Then RenovaBio avoids deforestation. Let's talk now about our automotive market. Brazil is the largest automotive market, light vehicles, and fourth largest automotive market, heavy vehicles. 94% of light-duty vehicles and 51% of light commercial vehicles are flex fuel. 100% of trucks and buses are diesel. We have a long tradition to use more than E20 since the 70s, when occurred the first world oil crisis. I used to say that we started the energy transition in Brazil 50 years ago. At that time, we started an energy plan focused in biofuels, hydropower, and nuclear. By the way, Petrobras, our major oil company, has tested 9 car models and 5 motorcycle models to approve the maximum ethanol content as 27.5%. There is no concern of our automotive industry to use 27.5% of ethanol in our petrol. Concerning the quality of biofuels, in Brazil, our consumers can choose at gas stations between gasoline C E27 and hydrous ethanol E100. Our regulatory authority, National Agency of Oil, Natural Gas and Biofuels, ANP, is responsible to conduct the fuel quality monitoring program. In this program, ANP collected 75,000 samples of E100, E27 and B10 at gas stations in 2021. B10 is the current share of biodiesel in our diesel fuel. We conducted 675,000 tests and our conformity index is more than 98% for E27 and E100, as you can see. Now, I would like to present a very recent Brazilian public policy called Fuel of the Future program that pay attention to the Brazilian characteristics and energy efficiency. To promote low-carbon sustainable mobility, we believe that it is important to consider life cycle assessment from well to the wheel and consider energy generation step. We developed Fuel of the Future program to integrate programs for automotive industry with programs to reduce carbon intensity of our fuels. Public policies must recognize routes combinations with lower GHG emissions per kilometer, more efficient vehicles and cleaner energy sources. When we have good indicators to evaluate sustainable mobility, ethanol flex fuel, hybrids, and fuel cell cars become competitive with pure EV cars. As you can see on this slide, a hybrid car with E100 has emissions from 25 to 35 grams CO2 equivalent per kilometer, and a pure EV in Europe has emissions from 10 to 130 grams CO2 equivalent per kilometer. Then, if you have a renewable energy matrix, it's okay. Pure EV is a good option for sustainable mobility. But if you generate energy with fossil fuels, it is not. In that order, we think we have great opportunities. Being automotive industry a hard-to-abate sector, India and Brazil need to work together to increase engine efficiency, to promote sustainable mobility with lower costs, to reduce GHG emissions, and to achieve energy security, reducing petrol imports. We believe that bioenergy and biofuels are part of the solution to energy transition. We also believe that we can cooperate in LCA, well-to-the-wheel, flex-fuel technology, flex-fuel hybrid vehicles, sugarcane breeding, genetic modification, genomic edition, sustainable aviation fuels, second-generation ethanol, fuel cell, and as a result, we can have an ethanol as a global commodity. Just coming to the end. The expected results are launching of India-Brazil Alliance for Bioenergy and Biofuels that will be a reference to the world. Recognition of bioenergy and biofuels as part of solution for energy transition. Cooperation between sucro, energetic, and automotive sectors. Increase of energy security, considering market instability and oil and gas geopolitics. Improvement of jobs and income in Brazil and India. Thank you so much for your time.
A very interesting slide about, when you presented about how E20 has been consistent. I want to tell the audience that the first blending program in Brazil started in 1931. It's been 92 years since you have been blending. and which actually we look Brazil as a role model for us, and we look forward to adopt the best practices which are possible. Should we start with you, sir? You have been the biggest supporter of the blending program, by helping from the automobile sector, bringing in the latest technologies. We believe there has been a study going on about the E20, how E20 works with the BS6 engines, and also, we see 2018 biofuel policy, we set a 2025 target for E20, which we moved to 2023, and now, congratulations to government, we have already moved it to 15 December. It's already notified. So do we understand that the BS6 are very well compliant now with E20, and we are ready to roll E20?
Thank you very much. At the outset, I would like to express my gratitude to Chini Mandi and, of course, the ethanol producers and sugar industry stalwarts present here for giving SIAM, Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers, the opportunity to share the dais with the doyens of industry and our ex-minister present here, Mr. Bento Albuquerque, who has been the architect of the relationship between SIAM and Unica. Thank you. In 21st April 2022 at New Delhi, in presence of Honorable Union Minister Sri Hardeep Puri ji and Energy Minister then Brazil, Bento Albuquerque, facilitated the joint venture memorandum of understanding signing between SIAM and Unica, and that actually spurred the moment of SIAM members working towards ethanol, higher blends of ethanol adoption in transportation. And I'm very proud to say that in India, pan-India, 10% ethanol was achieved 5 months in advance. That was first milestone which was achieved. And in second milestone, which is 1st April 2023, we are to migrate to E20. I am proud to inform that again, it looks like we will be ahead of time, and this is the time of India's 75th years of independence. That's called Amrit Kal. In Amrit Kal, I think everything is happening so good that auto industry, fuel industry, ethanol producers, government policy makers. So thanks to Sir here present, who has been actually giving us a lot of confidence that don't worry, fuel will be available. So all together, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, everybody's effort together for the development of the nation, for everybody's benefit. I am very happy to say that auto industry is all prepared, and we are going to surprise you with going forward 1st April 2023, all our vehicles that will be E20 material compliant. So we are very happy and we are very proud that our effort will at least lead to Atmanirbhar Bharat, farmers doubling of income, energy security in terms of balance of payment, also our international commitment of GHG, global warming related concerns, where COP26 we have committed 2030, we will have a very clear 1 billion ton reduction in CO2, 45% carbon intensity reduction. So transport sector is all committed towards the decarbonization, and ethanol cannot be the better option than any other fuel which is before us. So thank you for again giving us this opportunity to contribute our bit.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for a detailed answer. Coming to Sangeet, sir. Sir, demand is ready. Is supply ready?
Supply is always ready.
Yeah.
We are ready to meet
Are
all
we
the
ready for
challenges,
E20,
all the
sir?
demands. We are well prepared for E20 blending by 2025. I would like to highlight that we have started new year with crossing our ethanol production capacity to more than 1,000 crore litre. So we are on the track, and we know that by 2025 our capacities will cross 1,700 crore litres. we are planning not only to meet fuel ethanol demand but the other industrial uses. So we are going as per track, and I am sure there will be no dearth of ethanol for blending.
Question to you, Peter. Is India on the right track? Is that the way we approach ethanol blending? You have a lot of examples of Brazil, US, Europe. What is your view as a third? Are we doing the right way? Are we on the right track? Again, I'm getting into a very significant debate, E100 or E85. You will be more specific.
Well, let me start by applauding the industry and the government for the progress made towards ethanol blending. It's a fantastic success story so far. The challenge, E20, is the next step, and I think it's a very viable step. The challenge beyond that, if we may look into the future, is obviously the leap forward to higher blends and the need for flex fuel cars to come and accompany that change. The experience shows, and this is very much a European picture, that E10 is achievable in Europe, and indeed the Netherlands, Belgium, France, Germany all have E10 fuel. The leap forward, however, is reserved only for France. And in France there's been a very special case where not only have they encouraged the sale of new flex fuel cars, the government has also stepped in to mitigate any warranty issues that comes from changing existing cars to flex fuel. Now, that change is actually technically very feasible, but it nullifies the warranty of a new car or a recently purchased car. In France, the government has stepped in and said, we will mitigate that, and as a consequence, there are now more cars being converted than there are being sold as flex fuel. And I think that's very much an opportunity for the next step forward. So, stepping back, I applaud what has happened so far, and I encourage the next step forward.
So, we already are in the E20 era, I would say. Are we also bringing forward the flexi-fuel targets? Is that the next way to look at the ethanol program?
Yes, Government of India is suggesting that we should also work towards flex fuel vehicle availability. So, as you know, Indian automobile industry is in the forefront of giving affordable, environmentally benign safety product, and towards that all our stakeholders have committed that we will be producing flex fuel vehicle. We have demonstrated on 12th of December 7 two-wheeler products, and we have shown that working prototype of flex fuel vehicle is ready. Maruti also demonstrated WagonR flex fuel vehicle, and you know that in Brazilian market we have Hyundai, we have Stellantis, we have Skoda Volkswagen, and we also have Honda. So they all are ready with the technology. It's a matter of adoption. So as soon as Sir is able to give us a lot of ethanol, flex fuel vehicle will be there for everybody to take the benefit of.
Just in continuity, there's this question, which is always very intriguing, and it keeps coming in our, whenever we do this ethanol blending discussions. Is EV a threat to the FFPs or the ethanol blending program? How do you see growth of EVs? Because EV has a lot of government attention, a lot of tax benefits, I would say, and a lot of benefits which EVs are enjoying right now. So how do you see this, a very good competition, I will say, which is good for from the environment perspective, EV versus FFAs?
I think it's a very important question you are raising, Kapil. In our journey towards sustainable mobility, it's important that there is no one silver bullet, and the path to sustainability must have different approaches, taking different options together. It's not either or. Because if you look at what benefit we get with the EV, so there is a specific applications, there is a specific segment where EV will have a dominant role vis-a-vis what benefit ethanol gives. So one of the biggest benefit which ethanol is giving is that you have a very vibrant automotive component industry and automotive industry which is using the ICE engine powertrain. An ICE engine powertrain without disruption, adoption is possible with the ethanol. When you go for EV, EV has its own benefit, but it's in its way, you have another set of challenges in terms of range, anxiety for customer, cost of vehicle, raw material availability, etc., etc. So I believe for sustainable mobility migration, particularly in our Indian context, geopolitical uncertainties have shown that you can't rely on only CNG, or maybe you can't rely only on conventional fossil fuels. So you need to have a bouquet of options available, which will give you a resilience management of your national energy security interest. At the same time, the migration to sustainability with the help of decarbonization happens without much disruption. So this is where it's very important that it's not an either or option, it's all options put together and picking up the best one which is in the interest of the nation, its populace and its environmental goals.
Kapil, I just want to add here that Siam and automotive industry must be thankful to Government of India that under PLI schemes, government has covered flex fuel vehicles, and whatever be the increase in cost of production of flex fuel vehicle than normal IC engine vehicles, that has already been covered by Government of India subsidy for flex fuel manufacturers. So this is one thing which Government of India has already done. So we all the departments, whether it is DFPD, MHI or MOPNG, we are going in synchronous manner and we are trying to gain benefit from each other's synergy and energy. So that is the beauty of the whole concept.
I can tell you, Kapil, just to interrupt, in my 35 years of industrial experience, I have never seen a better time of best coordination among the different ministries. So sir, kudos to the leadership provided by the government on this ethanol journey. Whether it's a sugar industry, whether it's a oil marketing company, whether auto industry, whether policy subscription, the clarity, stability and long-term vision of the government is exceptional. Sir, we are very thankful to the government as a whole, sir. Thank you.
So it is not EVs or FFAs, it is EVs and FFAs that will flow. So with this, I want to open the panel to the audience. I'm sure you will have a lot of questions.
Before that, can I just jump in?
Sir, it is very nice to have this kind of a gathering together from many countries together and on particular subject of ethanol and sugar. As you know, climate is going to have a tremendous impact here and after. I thought perhaps as a total worldwide organization for this particular subject, we should make out a resolution what we can do to handle the climate issues. A resolution be prepared and circulated to all the countries in the shortest period of time what the association and other bodies can do.
I will take the question and also jump in on the point made earlier. EV vehicles have obviously brought a new concept to the market, but we have to also realise that the internal combustion car has not gone away and has not stopped evolving, and there is some sort of opaqueness or even wrongful attribution that things like mild hybrid technology with higher voltage batteries, cars coasting, regenerative braking, and all these new technologies, that they somehow belong to the electric vehicle. They don't. They belong to the internal combustion engine part. We're using those technologies. And in Europe, it's very clear that the decline in diesel cars has actually been greater than the increase in electric vehicles because of their cost, because of the requirement for an infrastructure for charging. And as a result, petrol-fueled cars have actually grown, not declined. So it's that we've got to face, and that is the reality today. Now, coming back to the question of climate change, I think that looking at the profile of energy generation that is inevitably required for an EV vehicle, what's it made from is a key question. Countries where hydropower is great, or solar power, or indeed other form of completely renewable energies, then it can make a positive contribution. But as shown in the presentation, if it's coal or gas, then the contribution to climate change and CO2 emission preventions is actually more questionable.
Always have a very different perspective. Thank you. I hope so you got the answer for it.
This is Prashant from Elara Capital. I have a question for Mr. Bento. Sir, since the time Brazil had introduced flex fuel engines, in how many years have the general public widely accepted that vis-a-vis the ICE engines?
Thank you very much for your question. We start our ethanol program, as I mentioned here, in the 70s of the last century. At that time, we had ethanol vehicles. I had one, I remember. It was a Fiat. It was a very good car at that time. But I used to say also that the more expensive fuel is that one you don't have. And at the beginning of our program in Brazil, after some years, we had lack of ethanol. Then we had ethanol vehicles, and we couldn't use because the lack of ethanol. Then we start the flex fuel program. And this, I think, started at the 90s, and we start to produce on our industry in the beginning of the 2000s. Then we already have flex fuel cars for more than 20 years. And as you can see, it is running very well. And I hope this is one of the opportunities that countries like Brazil and India can take advantage when we talk about energy security also. Thank you.
If I'm not wrong, I think today 97% of the fleet is flex fuels of four-wheelers in Brazil.
Yes,
that's
you are
right?
You are correct.
More questions? Please have the mic on the
Yeah, my question was to Mr. Singla. So this flex fuel policy and the E20 policy is great, but the incremental improvement in emissions from the transport vehicle sector, that's from the mobility sector, when we do a E20, would be much lesser when we could bring the flex fuel to the heavy trucks also, where the biodiesel and diesel can be used? When can we see flex fuel policy also taken to the heavy vehicles and the commercial trucks?
The government is already planning for biodiesel 5. I think, though this is the domain of Ministry of Petroleum, I am not the right person to comment on that. And that is the policy to be brought by Ministry of Petroleum, but government is already working on that. And then further details can be given by Petroleum Ministry. Thank you.
My simple suggestion is this: should we or should we not recommend to have short duration, high yielding varieties of crops introduced in the market everywhere? The simple reason is water is going to be a major problem, climate is going to be a major problem. So long as we have short duration crops, it will help us. This is what my personal appeal to all.
Hello, I am Zulfikar Warawala from Serene Industries. I have a question for Mr. Prashant. Banerjee, please. What is your take on fuel additives? Of course, the country is moving towards ethanol, but how do you look at fuel additives which can be dosed directly into any liquid fuel, wherein you can save emissions as well as save the consumption of that particular fuel as well as enhance the engine's performance? Have you looked at that, sir?
For the last 30 years, my primary domain of expertise is actually combustion. And from time to time, many people have come with multiple types of fuel additives, but the efficacy, effectiveness, and the investment point of view, the return is always a questionable. So if any very nice panacea is available, we will be very happy to adopt. I have been told, often Mr. Gadkari mentions that there is some Russian technology which will actually make the calorific value of the ethanol equal to the gasoline. So if any kind of such fantastic solution is available, we would be very much interested to look into.
Sure, sir. Thank you for your positive feedback. I will get that to you.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Of back right.
You will that we are only talking about E20 as the next target. So is government also looking at enhancing from E20 to E25 like we see in the earlier presentations for E50? And second part is, are we looking at blending into diesel also?
Government is already promoting flex fuel vehicles, and with introduction of flex fuel vehicles, consumers have an opportunity to blend more than E20, and if things are in hands of consumers, then I think E20 is just a number. This is E20 is a target under National Biofuel Policy, and that's why all of us are talking about E20. But E20 is not the ceiling. It is going to be one of the milestones for National Biofuel Policy. Regarding your second question, biodiesel.
So as Sangeet sir rightly mentioned, that E20 is just a number, and we will have a flex fuel vehicle which will take us up to E85, that is 85% of the ethanol. With regards to your second question on diesel, there have been study going on. IIT Delhi has done a lot of study. Ashok Leyland is also working with IOCL R&D Faridabad. It is found that up to 3% of ethanol blending in diesel you can manage, but you have to add lot of additives. The cost of the additives is very high. Therefore, right now it's in a study phase, but government is definitely looking at that because the diesel consumption is very high. So even if 3% or 4% is done with ease, it will be a good idea. So blending of ethanol in diesel is always an option, but it has a technical challenges which is currently being studied and looked into.
Thank you.
Any more questions before we say thank you to the panel? I guess we'll see. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, all of you. It was indeed an interesting panel, and being a Sunday, all of you are present here. Thank you so much. And special thanks to Mr. Bento. He's been on flight for 2 days and he's come straight to the conference. So a big thanks to him. I think he deserves a round of applause. He got down from the flight and he's straight at the conference. Thank you so much, sir. I would like to invite Chairman Gurudat Sugars Limited, Mr. Madhav Rao Ghadgeji, to felicitate this panel. Mr. Sangeet Singla. Mr. Bento. Mr. Peter de Klerk from the International Sugar Organization. Mr. Kapil Nema from Dalmia, Bharat Sugar and Industries Limited. I hope you have added some Dalmia Utsav into it. Thank you so much, sir.